Developing now, President Biden, still battling a bout with COVID, announces he is ending his re-election bid. The move, although not surprising, is sending political shockwaves throughout the nation's capital. And Biden is endorsing his Vice President, Kamala Harris, to become the Democratic Party nominee. Skylar Henry reports.
This morning, Vice President Kamala Harris is picking up support, just hours after President Biden announced he will no longer seek re-election. The president tweeted, "It is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term," adding his endorsement of Harris and urging the party to come together to beat former President Donald Trump.
With Joe Biden as the heart and soul of our party and Kamala Harris coming out swinging against this ticket, we've got the recipe for victory.
Harris says it is her intention to earn and win the nomination.
Are you ready to make your voices heard?
She's picked up endorsements from multiple labor organizations and party heavyweights like the Clintons. Vice President Harris is piling up support from members of Congress. The DNC says it will soon implement a framework to select a nominee.
The process needs to be open to anyone else who thinks they can make a strong case that they can prevail in the battleground states, and she'll be the stronger for the contest.
Last night, Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson called on Biden to resign the presidency after bashing plans to replace him.
It would be wrong and I think unlawful in accordance to some of these states' rules for a handful of people to go in a back room and switch it out because they don't like the candidate any longer.
President Biden has been isolating at his Delaware home after testing positive for COVID-19. He'll address the nation later this week. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Washington.
President Biden is the first sitting president eligible for re-election to decline to run again since President Lyndon B. Johnson stepped aside in the spring before the 1968 election. Johnson's vice president, Hubert Humphrey, won the Democratic nomination, but ultimately lost the election to Republican candidate Richard Nixon. In the wake of the president's historic decision, there's a new spotlight on Vice President Harris. CBS correspondent Jared Hill looks at Kamala Harris's political rise, her role in Biden's White House, and possible picks for her vice presidential running mate.
Solemnly swear.
I, Kamala Davy Harris, solemnly swear.
Vice President Kamala Harris poised to make history once again, endorsed by President Joe Biden as his pick to replace him come November.
Are you ready to make your voices heard?
The 59-year-old went from prosecutor to California Attorney General, then Senator in 2016, before making her first bid for the White House, later tapped by Joe Biden as his running mate. As vice president, she's been tasked with leading the administration's efforts to address migration at the southern border, making her a top target for Republicans. Also leading the administration's charge on reproductive rights. Now, swing state voters are reacting to news she could be the party's Democratic nominee.
I think people don't realize how strong she is, and I think she's come a long way in the last couple of years.
I don't know if people have been really thinking about her in that way, so yeah, it's hard to say. And I guess it would depend who she chose as her running mate.
Harris, who has a more liberal voting record, could be balanced by a more centrist VP pick. Names have started to swirl, including swing state governors like North Carolina's Roy Cooper, Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, and Andy Beshear of Kentucky, who sources say she spoke with on the phone Sunday.
You want to have someone who knows how to govern, who could step into the job.
But Harris's official nomination is not yet a done deal, with Democratic delegates set to vote ahead of the party convention next month. Jared Hill, CBS News.